Welcome to Disrupt the Flow, your go-to place for cutting-edge insights on how technology is transforming the supply chain. Today, we have a very exciting discussion focused on how AI agents can help strategic sourcing, workflows, and collaboration with suppliers in order to maintain a single source of truth across all organizations. To discuss this, we have a great discussion with Gus Trigos, founder of Mentum, a Google and Y Combinator backed startup that is focused on this topic. Gus also grew up or partly grew up in Colombia like me, so I'm very excited to have this discussion with him.
Thank you, Julian. This is an important area experiencing a high level of disruption. Did you know that companies lose up to 15 to 20% of annual sales due to poor supplier performance, with some experiencing losses as high as 40%? At the same time, on an average, it takes suppliers or vendors 3 months to complete a single new supplier search, with sourcing professionals spending up to 40 plus hours to vet only a few dozen suppliers out of thousands. Welcome, Gus. Excited to dive into this topic with you. Tell us about your journey till date.
Well, thanks for having me, first of all, Julian and Nika. So I'm Gus, founder and CEO of Mentum. I was originally born in Colombia, but I grew up in 3 countries, came to study to the States with a scholarship, bachelor's and master's in statistics. And my first venture into AI was actually back in 2018. I started working as a data scientist at a financial technology company. And as a data scientist, I was building models and using machine learning to optimize investment portfolios by gathering multiple data from different sources. I then ended up working at BlackRock, the largest investment manager, specifically in their AI hedge fund team. That was my dream job, but deep down I knew I wanted to build something big and with high impact in the world. So I decided to quit. My friends and family thought that I was crazy for leaving a high salary. And I also had to hand back a huge signing bonus, which was super important as a broke student, but it was the best decision. And that led me to start Mentum.
That's a great story, Gus, and congratulations. It takes a lot of courage at the end of the day to take that step. So tell us more about what is Mentum and what do you focus on right now?
Yeah, so at Mentum, we're building source-to-pay AI agents that enable procurement teams to find cheaper prices and higher quality suppliers all around the world. So for mid-market companies, you can see us as a source-to-pay platform or where you can see the source of truth. But for enterprise companies, we also act as a complementary tool to procurement tools like Coupa, Ariba, and ERPs. And I know there's been a lot of buzz about AI agents, so I wanted to explain a little bit about what they are. But essentially, agents think of them as digital assistants that you can give them a goal or objective, and they can figure out the steps to take or plan to achieve that objective. And they usually come in with tools like emails, ERPs, or even doing web searches so that they can accomplish that goal. Our first use case is automating the quote to award process, which lies within the source to pay process. Our tool acts as an assistant throughout this request for quote and proposal process. And it just significantly helps procurement teams close that process and find any type of product, whether it's for indirect or direct procurement, from simple raw materials all the way to complex industrial capital equipment. And something important is we found out that about 80% of the critical supplier data is buried in long email threads. No matter the company size, we've spoken to huge enterprises all the way to startups that are doing innovative things in the manufacturing space. And existing tools, what they used to do to solve a little bit of these problems were just creating vendor portals. But that basically forced a lot of the vendors to use yet another portal, sign in, etc. And that just made that not a lot of suppliers will convert to use the same tools. Now we support 100% coverage for suppliers because everybody's using email, and most of these sourcing events happen in the email. Because of that, we built really good integrations with Google and Microsoft Outlook to ensure that we can read and send emails with our AI agents. And you can just basically create a new inbox within your organization. For instance, proposals or sourcing at company.com, and you can CC that email where our AI agent will be able to read the supplier thread conversations. And we can extract important commercial information like quotes and proposals, all the way to technical drawings, legal information like contracts, and invoices as well. And the first step that we're making is it helps us to now serve procurement teams to be more efficient in that quote to award process. They can also be more technical because they can now, through the help of AI, ask more technical questions to suppliers that otherwise they will have needed an R&D or engineering team to chime in and ask for. And our agents, they basically see the questions that the supply chain team has, and then with those questions, they can extract this information in a clean and standard way so that it can then be compared in an apple-to-apple format. And no matter the format of the attachments or the emails that different suppliers share.
Excellent, thank you. Because I mean, it's a great insight, right? So you're basically taking all the information that is exchanged through email between the person that is doing the procurement with all the suppliers, and make sure that at the end of all of those exchanges, you have at least the first pass of a apples to apples comparison that can then help them decide. Fascinating.
Yep, that's right.
That email debt and traffic overload sounds very familiar, Gus. So thank you for describing the problem and the way you're approaching the solution. As you're talking to practitioners, what KPI do they see this moving needle on, and what kind of impact have they been able to size or deliver by putting agentic AI workflows to use with Mentum?
Yeah, right now we're seeing time savings as the main KPI in the short term. And there's very interesting midterm and long-term ROI KPIs that we also want to track. But customers are seeing 80 to 90% reduction in sourcing time per event. So what used to take hours between asking questions to suppliers, following up, ensuring that information is correct, and building comparison tables and number crunching in Excel can significantly be reduced to an hour. The buyer still participates. We're not saying that we're going to automate the whole process yet. So buyers participate in the conversation. They continue using their emails, continue communicating with suppliers. But what we do is we bring up the right information at the right time, and we can automatically follow up as well with suppliers if the conversations are stale as well. Where we will soon start seeing some meaningful ROI is enabling teams to handle more sourcing events in parallel and do things that were not possible due to their team size and capacity. And I think this is super interesting because right now with a team of 2 to 3 buyers, for instance, there's just so many SKUs or products or part numbers that you can handle, and also so many supplier conversations that you can handle. But with our AI agents, you can now take this productivity to the next level, and you can handle multiple ones. Quick example is if you're getting quotes from 3 suppliers, what if with the same amount of effort, you can now get quotes from 10 suppliers? And statistically speaking, you're going to be able to find a much better cost and potentially much better quality as well. So that's something that will impact directly the cost of goods sold, and something that I'm very interested in on.
That's amazing, Gus. From what you articulate, there is already significant productivity gain. The technology is advancing so fast with the GPT-4o release yesterday. There is so much more that we can already do than we could with the previous version. What does the next step in the world of procurement look like? What is the nirvana where you expect this to reach?
Yeah, sure. So where I think, I mean, it's just a matter of time, but we're very close to it, is I see a future where sourcing teams, if they get a requisition, no matter the size of the requisition or complexity of the requisition, if it's a huge industrial machine or an ingredient or a raw material, they can just tell an AI agent to get, for instance, quotes or get a PO. You give the objective and it does it. It might take days because it still needs to interact with the real world, but with one click, the sourcing team can just get back what they need, so that they can also in at the same time focus on more more strategic work.
Fascinating.
Perfect.
What I'm envisioning, this is a single click to get quotes and a side-by-side comparison of the RFQ, RFP outputs, and then some sort of AI-enabled guidance on where is the value for the company, all of that automated using agents versus needing human intervention.
That will be for the quote to award process, but I see it for the whole source to pay. So on the AP side, on the finding suppliers. So yeah, definitely a lot of interesting things.
Phenomenal.
Thanks, Gus. But at the same time, we focus a lot of the discussion so far on procurement and the procurement organization, right? They're very cross-functional, and usually when I work with clients on this topic, they do require other areas of the organization to also approve, to also come along in the decision of the quotes. How are the procurement teams aligning the use of these AI agents with other areas like finance, supply chain, etc.?
Yeah, this is something I love about supply chain procurement, that it's very cross-functional, heavy, deals with a lot of stakeholders. Because our AI agents work directly with email, as I said, everybody already knows how to use email. Everybody uses email for a lot of things. So there's zero friction. Finance, compliance, engineering teams or R&D teams and the procurement team, no matter the stakeholder, they can just either send an email or CC an email and give certain instructions. If you need approval for something, the CFO can just say, sure, looks good to me. And our AI agents will understand that that is an okay to go. So that's the first thing. The second thing is on the quote to award process, we're already dealing with procurement teams, supply chain teams, the sourcing team, the engineering team for more technical and complex procurement workflows. But this essentially can expand into other use cases where the finance team will be able to chime in, compliance, legal, if there's any contracts as well, we'll be able to also cover those use cases. And something very important when you're introducing new technology is there's a big friction on behavioral change. So you just want to make it work. And you also want to ensure that people don't need to learn yet another portal or yet another dashboard. So we're working really hard on making it work out of the box. And it has gotten so good to a level where on the second demo that we do with potential customers, they can just send supplier email threads and we can lively show how it works. And this is what wows them. And of course, very important to say, but since it just requires email integration, it doesn't require teams to ask IT department for yet another heavy integration or anything like that.
That sounds
a lot of intuition, very intuitive product, so that it's easy to get everybody to use it. So that's exciting.
Gus, you alluded towards this a little bit in terms of inertia of integrating a new tool, and the inertia also expands in this case to agentic AI as a new tech. As we think about this from the lens of practitioners, how do they de-risk some of these scenarios? So that's part one of my question. And are there certain industries where you've seen more willingness to go experiment versus others as you're approaching the market?
Yeah, totally. So on the de-risking side, we do a lot of, we have a protocol, but one of the things that we first do with our customers is they create a designated inbox, a new inbox. It can be called sourcing proposals or Mentum at company.com. And there, it's very important for them to control what our agents can read, like which emails can they read, what can they do with emails. So you can treat it, you can think of it as treating it as another extra team member. They can CC that designated inbox in all the conversations that they want us to track and automate. And that's how they can control and de-risk at first. And on the second question, we actually started working with the energy industry. I happen to have had experience in the energy industry and also a lot of interest for it. So we started working with solar panel manufacturers, battery manufacturers, and afterwards we expanded into electronics and automotive parts. And most recently, we will start soon working with food and beverage companies. And that's the beauty of it, that with AI and AI agents, we're able to help procurement teams procure indirect or direct products, no matter what. So that's where we can serve battery manufacturers, food and beverage manufacturers as well, and more. And in terms of early adoption, we have seen it pretty horizontal. I think it's more of a matter of the supply chain team and the supply chain leader than the industry in itself. So we're working with very brilliant directors and VPs of supply chain that have a very similar vision of the future like us. And yeah, we're working with those type of early adopters.
That is fascinating, Gus. It sounds like you've built a solution that is super easy to integrate into and get started with and applies beautifully across industries. For our viewers who are listening to you, what can be a quick MVP with your product, and how many days to get this started and see benefit?
Yeah, so even before we start working, signing a contract, as I mentioned, potential customers can already send us examples of supplier threads, and we show them live how the AI agent goes into the email inbox and crunches all the numbers and then the output. When we start working within the first week, of course, it's very important for our customers to send some examples of different previous procurement or sourcing events, and then we compare them, and that's kind of like the fine-tuning or prompt engineering step that we need to do to ensure that we can cover all the different edge cases for sourcing events. So it's a matter of a week or two for them to get started.
Awesome. Maybe bring one or two examples to life, because in terms of, I mean, how did you start working with the companies? What was the main challenge, and then how did you actually address it in working with them?
Yeah, so one of our first customers, they had the same vision as us, but of course they wanted to test out how far AI can go, and the first sourcing event that they gave us was extremely hard, and it's basically multiple infrastructure equipment for solar panels, and they thought that we were not going to be able to cover it. They knew it, and they didn't care if we did or not, because we were going to tackle other projects as well, but they wanted to see if we could or not. And it is complex, because when you're purchasing this type of industrial machinery, you have a lot of back and forth between multiple engineering departments within the organization, the procurement team, the suppliers, the engineers of the suppliers, and you can see a lot of technical specs being sent for revision, feedbacks, satellite images, quotes, etc. And we were able to automate that successfully, so that the output at the end was just a clean apple-to-apple comparison of the multiple industrial projects, and it definitely was a huge win for us. If we can tackle that type of sourcing event, then it's pretty straightforward to tackle anything else less complex. And another example, we're working with another customer that is using us for sourcing raw materials, so chemicals, and also indirect. It's doing indirect procurement as well for their warehouses. So every item is very different for them. And for raw materials, for instance, we can allow them to get very technical and beyond commercial terms like lead time and unit price per pieces. Just get a very technical sense of if this is what they're requesting from suppliers or not. For instance, the great purity of a material by reading the certificates of analysis that suppliers are sharing across the threads. And on the other extent, they're also purchasing capital equipment for their warehouses. So we can basically just try to tackle a lot of the different things on that end.
Very cool, Gus. I think my next question to you is going to be AI agents are new, and a lot of people are trying to wrap their heads around what it can accomplish and what it cannot. There's a lot of information out there, no dearth of information today. However, you've been able to internalize all of this and bring a use case live and deliver value. What are some of the podcasts or content resources that you like and find credible as you've built your product that our viewers can be listening to?
Yeah, totally. Well, so I could explain something, and this is just a heuristic that I have about AI agents. First of all, let's not think of them as fully autonomous systems just yet. Where they're really good at is at doing very focused tasks, and that's how we're using them. So there's a huge expectation of, as I mentioned, if you see an agent, you can tell it, get me this, and then it goes and gets it back. The technology is not there yet, but if you use a lot of these agents together as a mini squad or an army, you can see a lot of very interesting things. On the AI side, I'm currently reading the book AI Engineering by Chip Huyen. It's a great book. I've recommended it to a lot of my friends in procurement, in the enterprises as well. They're liking it. They're not necessarily very technical in understanding what AI does, but it's just a great book for introducing what large language models do, what agents do, what can they do, what can't. Can get a little bit technical in some sections, but you can skip those sections as well. And then for supply chain, I love reading books. So two of my favorite books on supply chain are Material World by Ed Conway and Cheap War by Chris Miller. They break down certain supply chains in just a very clean and concise way. And it was very useful for us when we started working with certain industries like batteries and electronic manufacturing. I think another source where I'm learning a lot is, of course, reading the news, especially with what's going on today and how fast everything is moving. I want to recommend an app that is called Ground News. It's my favorite app, and it's essentially a news aggregator that a good friend of mine recommended to me, and it checks the factuality of certain sources and also the political inclination. I think it's very important, at least for me. I like to understand all views before coming up with an opinion, and I use it for understanding tech news, political news, global affairs. So it's a great one, and they also use AI.
Well, this is an exciting time for procurement, indeed, Gus. I I think a lot of the discussion focused on the end goal around, as Neha mentioned, the importance of increasing revenue, the importance of reducing the lead time to bet a supplier. I think all of that is really what's going to drive value for the companies, and what you're building will certainly enable that from my perspective. So excited to continue to track your journey. Thanks for your insights and the discussion today. So, and by the way, any final words or things that you want to share with our audience?
Thanks for having me here. I've been learning a lot from you guys as well and from your backgrounds. So I guess if you want to learn more about what we're doing or just want to chat with me and nerd out about AI, you can find me on LinkedIn at Gus Trigos. So it's GUSTRIGOS. And I post weekly about supply chain, AI, and just like building a startup in Silicon Valley, all the ups and downs. So you can find me over there, and thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, Gus. We all learned a lot from you today. This was a very insightful conversation. If today's discussion sparked new ideas for all of you, we will post Gus's LinkedIn. Please follow Mentum on LinkedIn. Very fascinating journey coming to where he is today. And please continue to follow Disrupt the Flow for more exciting speakers just like Gus, solving for problems at scale in supply chain using tech. Thank you, Gus. It was an honor.
Thank you.